with the opposite issue, right? So what she's learned to do beautifully is to keep the sound very contained and in a smaller space, and to keep a feeling of width in the resonance, and to keep a feeling of forward placement in the resonance. But I really believe that this piece has got to have the other side of it, right? So what arias do you sing?
Recently I've been working on Una Voce Poco Fa and Ruhazan.
Oh, Ruhazant. Okay, so let's think about Ruhazant, right? So think about Ruhazant and the sensation of space and resonance you have in Ruhazant. That's an ingredient that we need a little bit more back. It's got to be put back in here, right? Because first of all, she's extremely vulnerable. She's in great danger. You know, she's frightened. And your approach sounds altogether far too confident, right? It's just way too strong. Right? So I think we have to find other colors and textures. Okay, so the other thing that I want to be sure of is that when you think of singing with the twang, you have to be careful that you don't get your larynx too high. So I feel like the twang gets stuck. The twang doesn't necessarily have to be in the nose. Right? Everybody do NG. So that resonance space is behind the nose. It's not in the nose. Let's do one in the nose just for comparison. Go ahead. It's not that, right? So the twang does not live in that space until you get very high in the belt, and then it's very heavy. The twang is a little further back, right? So I think you're getting too far forward. So you understand me correspondingly. When you feel that forward resonance, the more forward you feel the resonance, your larynx is getting up more, further up and up and up and up. That's why you feel it more forward. And that's when it starts to feel stuck. So we'll work on those two things. Try to find a little bit more fluidity in the whole thing, and a little bit more freedom in the twang. Okay, so can we just begin at the beginning? You're just letting your audience know what happened, right? It's simple storytelling, right? Don't put anything in front of it, right? Just speak on the page. Right? Go ahead.
They said I was found on the side of a road. There were tracks all around. It had recently snowed. In the darkness and cold, with the wind in the trees, a girl with no name and no memories but these.
Perfect, right? Okay, so here we are. And we're going all the way up eventually, right? All the way up, and we never come down again. But this is the beginning, right? You have to think about your management of your voice in a piece like this. You know, these kind of acting values that correspond with the vocal quality also save your voice a lot, right? So by doing this, she's not spending any money, right? It doesn't cost a thing. Okay, let's go on to the next section. Rain against. Now remember, low C sharp B, right? It has to have a little volume, it has to have a little pour. But it can't be that way because then it sounds too much already arrived.
Rain against the window. Okay. Rain against.
Good. Now, think about that volume and let that bloom in the space a little bit. This is, I hear this right about there. Can you feel it right about here? Good.
Rain against the window, sheets upon a bed, terrifying nurses whispering overhead. Call the child, Anya, give the child a hat. I don't know a thing before that.
Right. So now we've gone up a click, right? We've made a little bit of progress in the arc of the character. And you still haven't spent any vocal on it, right? And I think that you just added enough so that those low notes are resonant. Okay, now then we're going to go on. You just repeat the same thing again, right? So it's really not that difficult a piece until you can this marker, right? Okay, so let's go. Okay. Holding.
Traveling the back road, sleeping in wood, taking what I needed, working when I could, keeping up my courage, foolish as it seemed, that night all alone in my dreams,
Now here we go, right? So what we need here to accompany the larger emotion, the bigger feeling is we need more space. So all that you just did, that little speaking space is perfect, but here, you've got to let this bloom out a little bit, right? So can you speak this in my dreams? Would you play right? Speak in the pitch area.
In my dreams.
Right, so now sing in that space.
In my dreams.
Yes, okay. I think so.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise it gets already. You have to be careful, people, with this twang stuff because it starts to sound as though all the characters have a little bit of a muppet. You know what I'm saying? You have to be careful. It's got to have a little bit of a human quality, right? And so all you did was, you didn't open it up to release a whole space, right? You didn't do that, right? But you open it up somewhere in between, and it releases, we hear the vibration, and then we hear all these overtones in the sound, right? Okay, so let's go in my dreams.
In my dreams, it's so real, and my heart has so much to reveal. Then my dreams fade away, and I know it all will come back one day.
Good. Okay, so then we come back down. But look, he's giving you 3 dotted F notes, right? You have to do something. My teacher would say to me, you can't just sit on the toilet. You have to do, you actually got all this, you have to do something. Now, I mean, in Mozart, you figure out exactly where it's going to get and where it's going. You don't have to do that here. But let's decide, first of all, why it is that he's writing that note so long. It's the word day, because she's dreaming, one day.
Yeah.
So you have to keep thinking one day, right? So that'll help you not keep that note alive.
Yeah.
Because it just gets a little wooded, right? So just do one day and think about, you can think about J. Crescendo if you want to, but try to think about what it is she's thinking while she's saying that. She's daydreaming, right?
One day.
So now it's got to get louder. It's got to get louder than that.
It was
Yeah, too much, right? So you find out.
One day.
Good. And make sure that it's not just a position, but that it is a word. People, the vowel in the word is the vessel for the emotion. The vowel in the word is the vessel for the emotion. You can't just sit on day and make it beautiful or not so beautiful and not have it any kind of thought in it. Do you understand? Yes? You understand? I know what you think, but it's a perfectly placed legato note. It is a perfectly placed legato note. And whether or not the resonance is what you might think is what you would use in Mozart or not, that's a different thing. But there's got to be a development in something like that that goes somewhere. You understand? So you'll work on that.
Yeah.
He could to your teach. Okay, so let's go. Where are we going to start?
Okay.
So again, we're going back to the original kind of, but it has to have that kind of a little bit more head voice, a little more warmth, right? A little bit more warmth than you were using originally. Go ahead. I dream. That's a bomb pitch.
I dream of a city beyond all compare. Is it Paris?
No. Wait a minute. So what does it mean? Is it Paris? Is it Paris, right? Is it Paris?
Yeah.
Paris. Right? Is it Paris? Right, so how old is she?
She's like, I think maybe 18, not even, like 17.
Yeah. So, and it's at a different age where a 17-year-old might kind of live in that kind of place, right? But you have to decide that the voice and the registration of the voice and the choice of the voice is going to describe what the word means. Don't just sing Paris like it's, outer Mongolia, right? Go ahead. Outer Mongolia is nice as well. Okay, so you have to be careful. Okay, so let's go back to that second place.
Okay.
I
dream of a city beyond all compare. Is it Paris? A beautiful river bridge by a square, and I hear a voice whisper,
closed vowels on a belt, right? It gets stuck. So you let it go. We still think it's Paris, and then it just, right? Good. Can you do it again? I love it. Yeah. So you go to the next more open vowel. So it's an I vowel. So what's the next more open vowel to I? Well, right? You don't want to go to ah. That's overdoing it. But you think about in belting the next more open vowel, and then maybe you have to go to. And maybe you don't even do that at all. Maybe you go into twang, which she's not doing. It's a different thing. But go ahead.
The same.
Yeah, just go back for the purposes of time. Just go to is it Paris?
Okay.
And I hear voice.
And I hear a voice whisper, I'll meet you right there in Paris.
I love the difference. So she went into a light area and voice, but she short raised it. It's a dot and it's a half note connected to a dotted half note, and she went. So in other words, what you did was you took that whole moment, you just dumped it in the ditch, right? You can't do that. So see the thing is, people, the phrase has got, when you set the phrase up like that, right? And she's soaring, it has to come down like this, right? You can't go. So you have to sing the notes that he's written. You know, we're not usually so fussy about that here, right? Anyway, I won't make you do that. You don't know what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Do you know what I'm gonna complain about? What is it I didn't like about that?
Too tiny.
Yeah. You know, all of a sudden it's like, well, so you have to understand that with all these registrations, the vocal cords, once in a while they get confused. And you have to think about the transition on the inhalation. So, listen, there's something called retraction. Retraction. Your false vocal cords are above your true vocal folds. And the false vocal folds sometimes get involved in ways that they shouldn't. So when you breathe, you have to retract. And what that means is you feel like you're about to yawn or laugh. So on the breath, when you've made a transition from belt to head or something, you make that breath the opportunity to get that feeling of, you know how it is when you know you shouldn't laugh. Yeah, so my mother-in-law wouldn't let us yawn at the dinner table. So we had what we called the dinner table yawn. So it was like, well, when you have had or when you feel like you don't want to sneeze, that's bringing the false vocal folds out apart. And then that's going to help you make that adjust. So when you breathe to make a transition like that, you got to think. Right? Do like this with your nostrils, be able to. That does it also, but it looks funny. Okay, so let's just one. You don't know.
You don't know what it's like not to know who you are, to have lived in the shadows and traveled this far. I've seen flashes of fire, heard the echo of screams, but I still have this faith in the truth of my dreams.
So she's in the right position. So she's like, truth of my dreams. That's the essence of it, right? Truth of my dreams is there. Now you need to open that in the back a little bit. So she's got wide, right? She's got wide in the resonance, but she needs this way in the space. So it's like, hold that. It's like this. It's like this, right? So she's got this, and she don't have this, and so it's going like a laser beam at us, right? So just do that. Release your jaw a little bit more vertical space, but keep the feeling. Like right? And that's the resonance across your face. You're doing that very well, but you can't sing with the mouth closed like that. Right?
But I still?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I still have this faith in the truth of my dreams.
So you can't open it that much. But you see, that's the ingredient that we're looking for, right? So she went truth of my dreams, right? It's truth of my dreams, so the next more open vowel is going to be it. So you have to sing truth of my dreams. And the brain doesn't like this when you do this because you replace vowels. It will try and make you sing dreams, or you sing dreams. So you can either think dreams, or you can release your jaw underneath the E. It's the same thing, right?
Okay.
Go ahead. That's easy.
Zero, yes, sir.
But I don't prefer like this. Can you do this with your finger? So just one second. So I want to do in my dreams. Do that section again. I'm going to control it.
Okay.
Right now we're not getting the result. We're just trying to add ingredients. We add space. We add texture and all this kind of thing. So go ahead.
In my dreams, it's so real, and my heart
So we can hear it's a completely different resonance, but it's an ingredient that we want mixed into that E. Because you hear the E gets too tight, right? So you can think of mixing the vowel, right? So I'm playing this in, right?
Yeah.
Right? You can think about releasing the jaw, but on all those E vowels, you've got to find a little bit more space.
Yeah.
You can start from the more open vowel, but then you have to make your way back so it sounds kind of like, right?
Yeah.
But it's very, very good. I think the thing that I would do with this piece if I were you as I go on with it is I would make sure that you understand that this is a very young and very vulnerable young woman, and that all these things that you're singing are representative of those kinds of emotions. She's not 21st century in any way, you understand?
Yeah.
So that you don't overpower it too much, right? But very good, thank you very much. Thank you.